Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Preheat. So today we're going to be reviewing my mythic RazzyGCommentary as promised. So I'll show everyone how I'm doing this fight and what I'm thinking. Once again, I'm going to mention this ahead of time. So the way that I use my cooldowns in this fight is not exactly ideal. In fact, I kind of have to use them in a weird way because I'm basically the only person who kills the second ad in the intermission, or at least half the damage is coming from my character. So whenever that ad comes out, you want to beat the shield that it does. It does basically this big AoE heal absorb shield on everyone. If it doesn't get healed off, then you wipe. So it's very important that you kill the second ad quickly before it gets its cast off. Therefore, I have to pop Dragon Rage. I have to use my staff there. I have to basically end my cooldowns, but it doesn't really matter because this fight is all just about doing the mechanics correctly, and it's about just making it through the fight, having the damage when you need it. And the overall damage, although it is nice, it is not necessarily the reason why you will succeed in this fight, right? So I just want to point out that my cooldown timings might not be the best for you if you're not doing the same thing that I am doing. However, if you are on the blue side with the blue ad and your raid damage is a little bit lacking, like maybe you're missing grief torches like we were, then you're probably going to have to pretty much solo that second ad. So just a heads up, that might be in your future, but yeah, just wanted to give a disclaimer there. Okay, so here we're going to be using our cooldowns on the pull with Lust and everything else. And of course, with your Dragon Rage, you want to extend it as much as you can, but you're not always going to be able to extend your Dragon Rage because you're having to rescue, you're having to press Time Spiral, or you're having to press other globals, right? That's obviously going to impact your ability to maintain your Dragon Rage, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get all of your extensions. Don't stress out too much about that. Anyways, you'll notice that I'm going to be holding Dragon Rage for a very, very long time in P1. And that's once again because I have to use it in the intermission at a very specific time. But I'm theory crafting that, you know, perhaps you might be able to use it like before the boss is pulled, maybe at like 6 seconds, just as long as you're out of range, you don't accidentally pull early. And that might actually end up being better as long as you use it on cooldown. But anyways, I'll try it out in farm next week. You know, we'll see if that ends up being good. But so yeah, Living Flame into Lust into Staff. And then the first mechanic that's going to happen here is everyone is going to get hit by bombs that go out, right? There's going to be 3 people that get the bomb. So what I like to do here is use hover early so that if I got the bomb right here, I could just immediately hover into position. I don't get the bomb, so luckily I don't have to go out. The bombs could go to their 3 different positions. And then, you know, if you needed to, right, like you could pop a defensive here. The damage on this has been considerably nerfed though, and also we have raid cooldowns planned for pretty much every damage event that matters in this fight. So it's not super important that I use my damage reduction like on cooldown here. But yeah, so anyways, just maintain your Dragon Rage as best you can. Try to get those extensions and be able to use Eternity Surge here. Standing in the bubble, obviously taking less damage. And then for this, we all have our different positions. I'm going to try to stand like on the edge of this Ring of Frost so that my ad that spawns instantly pops, right? But with these have also been nerfed in phase 1, and they are not as important to focus on. Obviously, like, you know, people who are good at it do that, but everyone else just kind of hits the boss because they don't really matter all that much. So you can use Wing Buffet on these, you can use Tail Sweep on these to get rid of them, you can use Unravel on them. It's very good with Unravel. You can interrupt them. In like a last ditch effort, you can use Azure Strike on them too, although you have like 0 mastery value because they have 0% health, as you can see. But it will do enough damage usually to kill like the last set because the absorb shields get smaller every time. But yeah, I wouldn't really worry too much about them unless you're having trouble with them. They're just so much less important now, right? But anyways, so all of these start popping, they all start going off, and you'll notice here that the boss is going to go and start doing the first pushback. So this is a good time to talk about how we deal with pushback as Evoker. So Evoker is actually pretty good at dealing with the pushback. I think that the best way to deal with pushback is on set number 1, you probably want to use either Rescue or Deep Breath or something else just to stay on the platform, maybe even just hovering to stay on the platform. On set 2, you want to use the Gateway. On set 3, you want to use something of your own again, right? Like just basically alternate. And then on 4, 4 is probably the best one to use Deep Breath on, honestly, if it's up. But you won't be able to do that unless you have the talent for the 1-minute Deep Breath. I ended up dropping that. I had it early in progression. It was really good for early progression, but now I don't run it anymore. But anyways, I barely missed this extension here. If I was just 1 global cooldown, I could have gotten it off. Barely missed that. But I rescued a Hunter right here and try to get the Fire Breath off in time. And you notice I was like not even close to the boss, like I was out of range. Sometimes that still works. Like I've noticed with the knockback, the Empower spells still sometimes hit even though you're like out of range. Eternity Surge is like the best one. You can Eternity Surge from like 60 yards back if you start channeling it like as the breath begins for some reason, which is kind of cool. But anyways, yeah, immediately following that's gonna be a Lightning Breath. So obviously don't stand in the Lightning Breath. And then we're gonna have bombs coming out again. So 3 people are gonna get picked here and I don't get picked again, which is lucky. So on the bombs, the way we do it is the first set all gets externals. So you're going to get like time dilation from the preservation evokers. You're going to get stuff like pain suppression, right? And then on the second set, you have to use your own cooldown. So that would be like obsidian scales. If I got that, that's why I was holding obsidian scale still, is for the set. And then on the third one, you're going to get those, you know, the 1 minutes again, right? The time dilation, stuff like that. And then, you know, it just alternates, right? You can make sense of that. Anyways, so yeah, this one's going to be the gateway. And I do try to use the gateway here, but I realized something that happened actually just watching this VOD. So I actually try to use Eternity Surge here, like coming up. And I use it a little bit late. Like normally I try the Eternity Surge like right before the swing, but I just didn't have it up early this time. It's still off. And if you're actually using Eternity Surge, you can't take the gateway, right? So I'm spamming my toy, which is on my mouse wheel. Like I'm scrolling my mouse wheel to try and take this gateway, and it doesn't go off. And I'm like, what? And then I realized, oh, it's because I was empowering. But you can also just hover twice and you live this one, right? So no big deal. It just means that you're going to be in a weird position for this one. So I call it out that I'm weird in the back and I just take care of it myself, right? I just focus my own ad down. No big deal there. Also for the ads, I have a really great macro that is from Instant Dollars. So make sure to check the description below for that macro. You can just put in like Unravel or your Interrupt or Ezra Strike. And it's really, really good as a way to take care of those without even having to target anything other than the boss. Okay, so yeah, anyways, I wait for this set of swirlies to come out and to see where the breath is first before I move in. And then so all of the people with the bombs are going to be running out to their positions. And I'm going to run over to my position here for this. Okay, everyone is running together here. Yeah, we just make sure you're clumped, right, so the healers can heal you. And coming up here on this next set's going to be the pushback. This one is really, really great for deep breaths, I found. Instead of using deep breath on the second one, I like to use it on this one. I feel like it's just better overall. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and use our deep breath right here. And then I believe the last one is coming up. Yeah, the last one I use Time Spiral and Rescue. Make sure that you're actually tracking Time Spiral if you've got multiple evokers, which you should, right? RazzyGeth is a very good preservation evoker fight. Make sure you're tracking those and make sure you're making use of them. Time Spiral is probably one of the best spells for evokers because Hover is probably one of the best spells that Time Spiral gives you. Right, so not only do we have awesome utility with Time Spiral, we also benefit quite well from Time Spiral. So yeah, it's very important that you're paying attention to that. This one's gonna be my Time Spiral, so I pre-Time Spiral, I let myself get pushed back, and then I rescue on the priest here, and then use my hovers to get back into range. Of course, the breath is directly on us. That's usually where the breath goes, right? But it was slightly to the left. So just be aware as you're getting pushed back, there might be people who are slightly off. And you'll notice I'm holding my Dragon Rage. So this is because I have to have the damage in the intermission. Okay, and right here is where the damage stop is called. So basically we're going to stop damage. You'll notice that I interrupt my cast and I'm just kind of running around. I'm looking for people to heal and just, you know, trying to do as much healing as I can while I wait. And then right about here on the Hurricane Winds, whenever the wing is about, you know, a third of the way in, this is when the damage is called to turn on again. So I do some damage to the boss. Everyone is damaging the boss, we push it, and there it goes, just in time. So yeah, not a huge DPS stop, right? We just stopped for like maybe 5 or 7 seconds, something like that, but still very important that you stop your damage and don't push the boss early. Make sure you're pushing it as that winds is about to go off right there. All right, so we all get into position, and we're going to be knocked towards the ads. Make sure that you're targeting the ad on the way there. You Shattering Star it, and you unravel it so that you deal damage to that shield. And then you go into the rest of your cooldowns here. But yeah, you'll see here. So on this first ad, I've seen other evokers use their cooldowns here. I unfortunately cannot use my cooldowns here. I actually tried it earlier in progression. The reason why I can't use my cooldowns here is because we break the shield too fast. We actually kill these ads way too quick. And if I were to pop my cooldowns here, I actually can't carry it over to the next ad because I'm not able to get my extensions, because I'm not able to get my essence bursts, right? Because if I were DPSing the shield here, like going all the way in, depending on like when the boss goes, right? Because in this case, I could have, right? In this case, we had good breaths, but like it's 50-50 on if you get the first breath or the second breath, right? Each platform it alternates with. So yeah, it basically just depends on RNG, and it wasn't consistent and it was getting frustrating. So I decided to stop trying to go for the extension, stop trying to go for the early Dragon Rage, and just go with the natural Dragon Rage on this. I'm going to bring it back here because I want to show this phase again. So you get knocked over, right? This is the first step. Everyone gets knocked over. While you're flying in the air, what you want to do is you want to target the ad, right? And you want to be spamming Shattering Star, okay? Just spam Shattering Star on it from a distance. As soon as you see Shattering Star go off, immediately press your space bar. That's going to be your break so you don't take fall damage. Or if you have the engineering boots, you can just use those. you'll deal damage on hit. But honestly, like we kind of were pushing this out a little bit too quick. So I opted to not use those boots. Also, my alchemy is 100, so I didn't want to get rid of that. But yeah, anyway, so as soon as your Shattering Star goes off, you're now spamming Unravel, and you press your space bar so that you're flying in the air, just like this, right? So you do the Unravel, boom, it hits there, 147.9k right there. So obviously big damage on the shield. And then you want to immediately start casting an Eternity Surge. So I'm casting my Eternity Surge here, and then all the adds are up, and this gives the tank time to like kind of get aggro while everything's going, and then you deal your big damage right here, boom, hit out all the adds. And then you're gonna do a full charge Fire Breath here as well. So I actually have 20 stacks of Charge Blast. I could also use a Pyre here if I wanted to, but I'm not exactly sure if I would be able to get those back before the second ad, and it's very important to have those because it is part of the damage I do to the Zealot. Right, the Zealot that I have to kill really quick. So I'm gonna opt to keep my Charge Blast stacks and not use them here. I'm just gonna do a full charge Fire Breath into a Living Flame, which is gonna AoE and hit 5 of the targets, right? And if you look, I also have Scarlet Adaptation. All right, so this is gonna do a big amount of AoE damage, so it goes off, and as you can see, boom, that Living Flame did a lot of damage. Look at how much damage this Living Flame did, right? All 5 of those targets, it was a little bit over 500k from one Living Flame right there, right? And then, so after that, I'm just going to be moving because the bait has happened, right? So the bait's coming over. I'm just using Azure Strike on these ads. I don't want to Pyre here. Pyring would be the best option, ideally, if I had time to get 20 stacks of Charge Blast back, but I don't, right? Because like the ads are already dead pretty much. These two are like at 3%, and we're moving. And then this ad, normally, like, well, I guess it's RNG, right? But like normally we'd have to wait to bait and not break the shield on this ad if we got the other breath, right? If we got the first breath there. So yeah, once again, it's 50-50. I like it to be consistent, and there's no way to know ahead of time if you're getting the breath or not. You'd have to just play around with it. I guess technically you could wait and see if you got the first breath, and then if you don't get it, press Dragon Rage. But I doubt that it's going to be that big of a difference, because if I had Dragon's Breath there, we would have killed the ads even faster, and then I'm not sure if I would be able to extend still. So I mean, I guess that is something to think about for the future, but probably not too big of a deal. I mean, it really for this phase, it's just about making sure that you kill this ad that's coming up. Okay, right here. So anyways, you break the shield, right? And everyone wants to bait together with the breath. The ad comes out. This one right here is the Zealot. It's named Susan because my guild has like an inside joke where we call it Susan. But you want to basically kill this Susan as quickly as you can. So the ad is up, and I pop my Dragon Rage here, right? As if you notice, like I'm trying to be kind of max range. I don't want to get any closer to the edge here, but like I'm in a line still so that the deep breath still goes here, but I'm trying to be as far away from the edge as possible to give them time to run to me, and the tank can pull them off, because I will pull to right here. 100%, I will always pull to right here. So yeah, I Dragon Rage, it hits everything, boom, the AoE goes off, and I have a macro, if you notice. I'm already pressing the staff here. I pulled aggro on 3 of the ads. The staff is already going off. It's a slash target, Zealot, Frostborn Zealot, whatever it's called. Use the staff, and I full channel the staff here, and this is all my damage going to the ad. And then right at the very end here, I'm going to use Tip the Scales Fire Breath just to finish it off, and it died like right before that went off. So yeah, that's like ideal, right? Like the ad dies just right there, and then at this point I'm going to use Eternity Surge, keep trying to get my cooldowns. I used a rank 1 Eternity Surge here because I want to hold my cooldowns into the next ad. Like ideally I still have my cooldowns up whenever the next ad happens. It doesn't always line up that way. It's not always, a good lineup here. It kind of depends on your volatility RNG. And honestly, if I were to do this fight again, and I will do it again next week on Monday probably, I don't think I'll take volatility again. I think volatility was a little bit of overkill. And I'd probably instead opt for Power Nexus and put that last talent into maybe TW instead. I'm not really sure where I'd put it, but I think I'm going to probably drop... you know what? Honestly, Eternity Surge or Eternity Span is probably where I'd put it. But yeah, I'm going to be dropping volatility. I don't think it's really doing much for us. It was really good early in progression, but now we just kill the ads too fast. Like everyone's too good at this phase now, so we don't really get much use out of it, and it doesn't really do much in the second intermission as well. So yeah, I think I'm probably going to drop that talent. Anyways, so trying to carry my cooldowns over to the next ad here. And range has the bait, as you can see, and it's going to be so close, but I won't make it, right? So Fire Breath is up here. I've got 1 second left. I'm going to be spamming Fire Breath, but it's too late, right? The GCD is too long, and it's not going to go off in time. If you look right here, 0.5 seconds, 0.3, 2, 1. I knew I wasn't going to make it, so I didn't even go for it. But yeah, doing the Fire Breath here on all the ads, and then obviously Eternity Surge as well. And if you notice, I have the circle, but I'm standing in the middle of the group here. This is because we bait at ranged, and I actually can't go any further back. Like if I were to go to the sides, I would be out of range, right? Because I'm basically at 25 yards max range here. So I kind of have to stand this middle, and I just call out to my raid like, hey, I can't move. You guys got to move, right? Anyways, yeah, so just try to maximize your AoE damage on this pack. This is where I would say, you know, try to do like your tail swipe, try to do your wing buffet if you can, but don't knock the ads away, right? Just use the wing buffet as like a way to knock a far ad in if you're near the far ad. It just depends on how the deep breaths line up if you're able to do that. But also use your deep breath here as well. So I'm actually spamming deep breath. You can't tell, but I'm spamming it and it's just not going off, and I'm getting frustrated and then it finally goes off. So anyways, yeah, that happens to me too. Don't worry, it's not just you. Okay, anyways, so we clear up the phase and we beat the breath. So here we go. We go through our platform, and then this is where phase 2 begins. So I'm going to try to get my positioning ahead of time here. Everyone kind of has like their own assigned spots in our strategy, and I am a rescue on this priest right here, Bob. So if you notice, I actually have a macro that's like rescue Bob is the name of the macro. It's like down here or something. Oh, here it is, rescue Bob. People always ask me about that macro, and it rescues Bob. That's what that macro does. Anyways, yeah, so I'm going to be rescuing Bob. You'll notice that with the pushbacks, here's the boss. I used the fire breath right before the boss came out because I knew the timing there. Obviously, that's style points if you want to do it. Doesn't really make a big difference. But yeah, here we're going to be getting the marks. This is stage 2. The first thing that happens in stage 2 is the boss is going to assign marks on people, okay? So everyone's going to get a mark, and you have to stack with the people with the same mark. And you can also get inverted. So that means that your mark swaps into a different color, which is kind of frustrating. Oh, I should mention too, so with this push timing, you can potion pretty much as soon as this phase starts. But anyway, so everyone's spreading out and the marks are going out right now. Boom, so I get blue. Blue means I'm on the outside. Blue is the one you want. You do not want to get red. Red is not ideal. So yeah, I get blue, and as you can see, like we've got a blue guy over here, we got a blue guy over here. People are just needing to get together. So just go and run to the closest person. As soon as you see your buff is up, that's when you want to press unravel. Ideally, you have Sharing Star up as well, but you want to unravel on cooldown during this. It's very important. It does a lot of damage. So make sure you're using unravel on cooldown on the shield. It's very important. Yeah, so anyways, as soon as that comes out, as you can see, unravel did 386k, one global cooldown right there. Boom, 386k. So yeah, definitely a really big button to hit. And then just try to deal damage the best you can. I would say if Fire Breath is up, sometimes it can be useful if Fire Breath comes up after the like the thing is already out, to do a max charge Fire Breath, because it's going to do like 3x damage, right? But if Fire Breath is up before the shields go out, what I say you should do is just send it at rank 1, right? So that way the dot is ticking on it, because essentially it's going to be the same, right? Like if it's over the entire spam of the shield and the dot's already up, then that's going to be pretty much the same as doing like a full charge one, right? Because it always does the same amount of damage. It's just a matter of like, is that damage being amped or not? And if the dot's already up, the damage is already amped, right? Anyways, yeah, I would only say to fully charge it in this case, right? When you know that the most of the dot is going to happen after the shield is down, because you just want to break the shield as quickly as possible. So yeah, anyways, moving on with this. So I get inversions here. You'll notice throughout this entire fight, I think on this pull, I had really bad luck with every shield. That one actually wasn't too bad because it was at the very, very end there. But make sure that you're moving whenever you get inversion. You need to move right away. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. Don't let your cast finish. Just move, right? And if you have hover up, you should probably use that too. Because if you're staying in the group and you let it go off, it's going to kill everyone in the group and you're going to cause a wipe. It's not worth it. Okay, anyways, so this is going to be the first knockback here. This is my Rescue Bob. You see it pops up on my screen here. If you're wondering what this is, right, with this Rescue Bob thing, this is a weak aura I have, and I'll actually put it in the description of this video below. But what it does is it takes the note, and there's like a special formatting you have to use in the note that's explained on the Wago. But it takes your note and it actually translates it into like fight times, and it's really awesome. This is like the coolest tool I think I've ever seen. So as you can see, like in the note, I have preheat or Pyroheat Rescue Bob, right? So this is what's showing up, and it knows to press this at 12 seconds into the phase, right? So that's why this is happening. Anyways, so yeah, we rescue Bob in 8 seconds. I already know this. I know everything's going on ahead of time. And Dragon Rage is about to come off cooldown here. And oh, another thing I should mention too, Dragon Rage is important for the second shield. Every shield you kind of have to allocate DPS cooldowns to, and your guild might be different than my guild. But if you're using your cooldowns in the second intermission on the second ad, then more than likely you're probably also going to Dragon Rage the second shield. That doesn't mean you have to wait for the second shield though, right? Like you can Dragon Rage ahead of time and carry your Dragon Rage into the shield. As long as your Dragon Rage is up during the shield, you're probably going to be good to go. Okay, anyways. So yeah, here is the wing. And as you can see, I rescue Bob there. Boom, we go together. I'm using Twin Guardian, and I highly recommend it for this fight because you deal damage to people whenever you're around them and you go through this this knockback. And Twin Guardian basically just nullifies that damage. It just makes it so it doesn't happen because you have a really big absorb shield whenever you go. So highly recommend that. Anyways, and then at this point, you can see however I say, my message says bait fulminating charge. I'm going to get out of under the boss, and I'm going to try to get out since I'm ranged. And that way I can hopefully get one on me. In this case, it didn't go out on me, right? It looks like it's, you know, Toe Grinder here, and Levoker has one, and someone else over here. Life Bloom, it looks like. So yeah, make sure that you're getting out of these circles, right? Either hover out through that Tempest Swing if you don't have a rescue, and then go into your position, or save your hover until this moment and then hover out of the circles, right? Either way, you don't want to get hit by these circles. It's really bad. It does a ton of damage. It roots you. It makes everyone mad at you if you're just like not making an effort to get out of it. So just do the fight. I mean, this fight is nerfed, right? Like the damage is much lower now. Make sure that you're just doing the fight effectively. Don't try and like min-max your damage to a T and then cause a wipe. That's not how you kill this boss, okay? Anyways, but still, you know, min-max your damage as much as you can while not losing damage for, you know, normal stuff. That's what I'm trying to break down, like exactly when you'd use your movement, because I think this is a good point to make, right? Try to save your hovers for those circles so that you always have a hover to get out, because you're probably going to have a time spiral for most hovers during the Tempest Swing. Anyways, okay, so we get into position. So this next up is going to be Sparks, and I do have a Spark position that's really far from my stack position. Like this is where I'm supposed to stack for the Tempest Swing. This is kind of where I like default back to always. It's directly to the right of this little yellow orb thingy. But my stack spot for the Sparks is like between Skull and Triangle, so you'll see me like move last second into it every time. And then here is where I'm going to be using Dragon Rage pretty soon here. I have it down to a timer because if I use it any sooner, then it's going to not be up for the shield. Anyways, so I go into position. I always try to line myself up with the Ring of Frost so that the first one instantly despawns, just like this. And I have a macro. I can also put that in the description below. I got it from Instant Dollars, a really good macro for killing these Sparks. It just Azure Strikes them. Azure Strike is like pretty high damage on these because they just have like a shield. They are at 0%, so you get like no mastery value out of it, but it can be used in a pinch. You can also unravel them. You can also interrupt them. You can use whatever you need in that macro. It just depends. I think the best use for these Sparks, like the best way to get rid of them, aside from AoE, is like having dispels, right? Like just purging them. But Azure Strike can definitely do the same thing in a pinch as long as it's not one of the first ones. If it's like the third one or like the second one, sometimes if it crits, you can just one-shot it with Azure Strike, which is nice. Anyways, so all of these go out and I immediately am looking to get in position and pop my Dragon Rage here, right? So all the orbs are down. You see I Azure Struck that last one and killed it. I think it took 2 actually for me to break it. But anyways, here's where I use Dragon Rage, and I'm going to immediately use Fire Breath into Tip the Scales, Eternity Surge into Shattering Star, and you'll notice the Shattering Star lines up perfectly with the Tempest Swing. Watch this. Or maybe it's the Burnout afterwards, yeah. So, okay, this is something important that I see a lot of evokers not taking advantage of. If you use a global cooldown, right? So that could be Instant Cast Living Flame. It could be Shattering Star. It could be Azure Strike. Anything that's instant cast, okay, that incurs a global cooldown. If you do a global cooldown, you can press hover immediately after using that global cooldown, and it fits the short little fake GCD that hover does. It fits it inside of the other GCD. It's like, if you play Final Fantasy, you're probably familiar with this term weaving. It's like off GCD and GCD stuff, how you want to like put those together. It's the same concept. I don't think there's anything else in World of Warcraft that really works this way. And you might already be doing this intuitively, right, without even realizing it, because I know I was until someone pointed out. I think Cam's actually pointed out to me. But yeah, it's really, really great to do this. So just as soon as you want to hover, you always try to line up your hovers with a GCD, and that way you're able to not lose uptime, right? Because if you're hovering during your Dragon Rage, it's probably going to cost you an extension because it's very tight, right? Especially now that they fixed Leaping Flame, so it no longer gives you you know, a essence burst from effective healing. They made that so it no longer happens. They fixed this a couple days ago. Not sure why, but anyways, make sure that you're using the hover tech. Make sure that you're always using hover with a GCD. Very important, and that way you don't lose uptime, but try to line it up so that it happens with the Tempest Swing, because you need to hover through the Tempest Swing, right? You can technically just like double jump and like fly through, but you take a lot more damage. It's better to just hover through it. Anyways. So yeah, and then this next one here, so my rescue is what, 28 seconds, 25 seconds, what's coming up here? Rescue Bob on the next wings, yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah, so this is just deal damage to the boss. We're gonna have another shield come up with the marks, so, you know, I'm assuming my spread position. I'm in position here. I'm just going to try to extend my Dragon Rage like so. All right, get the extension. I get melee. So use Sharon Star there. And I did, if you notice, I did jump into melee even though that wasn't a GCD. Just because I want to get the buff right away, right? And I immediately get an inversion. This is something you hate to see. This is like the worst RNG possible, right? Getting inversion right here with Eternity Surge up and everything up, not ideal. You don't want to see this shit, okay? But anyways, it is what it is, right? You just make do. And as you can see, Dragon Rage still has 5 seconds left. The shield is about to fall off, and the shield is gone, and Dragon Rage is off. So that's perfect timing, right? Like, it basically was the very last bit of my Dragon Rage. I could have even perhaps gotten another extension had I not gotten the inversion plus the red on the pole, because that probably would have been like 2 more disintegrates I could have been able to get off. But I mean, it would have been pretty close, right? Since Fire Breath had 6 seconds here. So using Unravel during Dragon Rage is worth it, but it does cost you an extension more than likely, right? But it's definitely worth it. Like if you look here, we'll just rewind a little bit. Look at my Unravel damage during Dragon Rage. I'm about to use it right here. I just want to make sure I got the buff. Boom. This hits for 465k. This is non-crit. You can't tell if it's a crit or not because it's absorb damage, and absorb damage doesn't like show if it's a crit or not, but I can tell from the damage numbers because whenever I crit, I almost hit for 1 million, right? So it's just like RNG. But I've definitely had pulls where like I hit with an Unravel and it literally hit for like 998,000. Okay. So yeah, it's a really good button to press. Make sure you're pressing that on cooldown. Very important. You usually get like 2 off per shield on the Mythic. On Heroic, you can do 3 sometimes, but usually 2 on Mythic. Anyways, so we break this shield, right? Everyone's kind of huddled in position, getting through this. And I'm already thinking of like, okay, what do I do next, right? So the next thing coming up is going to be Sparks into charge, Stormwave into charges, right? So there's like a lot of lineups happening here soon. So I'm going to go ahead and find my way over to the position. I'm thinking, okay, I need to get to Skull, so let's just get my Eternity Surge off. Let's do a couple double jumps over the Skull. I'm going to press Time Spiral here because this is my Time Spiral, and I need to also be looking where Bob is, right? Bob is over here. I'm looking at him, so I know where Bob is, and I'm going to rescue Bob in. So my ad drops right here. Moved at the last second. Melee did as well to not accidentally kill me. And then, yeah, so on this set of Sparks, I pretty much do nothing to these, right? Because all my globals are like other crap. It's like Time Spiral, it's like Rescue, everything else I don't really have extra things to be pressing there. So we grab the Bob right here. You see I have Bob, we're bringing him in through this, and my Time Spiral is still up, so I can make use of that right there at the last second there. Okay, and then you'll notice my staff is up. All right, so this last staff is going to be pretty important for this shield, because this last shield that the boss is about to do is by far the most critical of all the shields. It's usually also the slowest. So you need to make sure that you break the shield as effectively as possible. You'll notice that I have Pain Suppression on me right here and Freedom. The reason why is because if we rewind just a little bit, right, I did get that, I did get the root, right? So this is the Fulminating Charge. If you get Fulminating Charge, you need to get either Freedomed or you need to get something else that breaks CC. You can also Deep Breath out of it, but it's really slow. Don't recommend doing that unless it's the last phase. So yeah, I get Freedomed and I just waddle out while I'm doing this. This is also a good opportunity to use a Renewing Blaze, but I'm actually saving it for the shield, I think, because it's actually better in that shield. And plus I'm safe, right? Like I'm full HP, I got Pain Suppression. It's a big dot, but it's gonna just get eaten away by the Absorb shield, so no big deal there. Okay, so this is the last wave of the fight. I think this is the last wave, at least of phase 2. And then the boss is going to immediately go into the next mechanic here with the Sparks into Absorb Shield. They happen like back to back. It's really, really critical that you get in position and do everything right here. So yeah, I'm just at range, and I'm going to be moving into Skull and Triangle here in a second. Oh, you know what? Actually, on this one, I'm kind of laying back because I am ready to use my knockbacks. And I'm trying to be out so I can like hit in front of myself with the knockbacks here. But I think we end up not really even needing too much extra help. So yeah, we were able to get through this really quick. They nerfed this so bad. Like it's actually crazy how much they nerfed this. It used to be so much of a bigger deal to get rid of those, but they just die now. Oh, and then this is immediately spread out. This is another reason why it's kind of nice to like not be exactly over here between, where my mark is on this last one, because it immediately goes into this spread out. So I need to be back in position. Okay, and then we have blue. So yeah, this is gonna be the same idea. You're just gonna be stacking with your friends, get together, get your buff. Ideally, use your staff once the inversions have already happened, right? That's what's happening here. I'm inversioning and my staff is just doing a ton of damage, right? Because it's got all the damage amps. Use your unravels, right? Ideally use unravel before Shattering Star. I'd consider that a mistake. Should have Shattering Starred into unravel there. But anyways, yeah, just deal damage. And obviously Renewing Blaze is huge for this too. Like, I think I used it like right leading up to this, or I might use it previously. Oh yeah, it's still on cooldown here. Having Renewing Blaze for this is pretty nice because you actually get damage from it too, right? Because it gives you Scarlet Adaptation. So yeah, try to have Renewing Blaze for this. It's not always going to happen. Just, you know, obviously play it by ear. But yeah, so we get through the shield just fine. And you'll notice, like, watch how much damage everyone's taking here. Look at this. Look at everyone's HP. The last tick of this, the last 2 ticks hit so hard, right? I get healed, I get topped, and then we break it right before it goes off. But like that next hit would have absolutely clobbered us, right? Look how this ramps again. Look at the raid. Look at everyone's HP just getting clobbered. And this is during a Disc Priest ramp, right? So you know that the damage is just crazy on this. But anyways, so yeah, we push the boss here. And then this is where phase 2 intermission begins. So phase 2 intermission, I'm with the melee stack. So there's going to be like a little tornado guy spawning over here in a moment. Or maybe it's over here. I forget where he spawns. He's like, right. Yeah, there he is. So I'm hitting this tornado guy, and I'm just going to deal damage to it. And you'll notice I'm sitting on Dragon Rage. So this is something that's, I consider this actually something important to call out. So you could use Dragon Rage in the last phase at the very start of it by holding it through the entire intermission if you wanted to. That would maybe result in more boss damage. However, if you use Dragon Rage here, it lines up so that you use it again right after Lust is up, and then you get a second one that comes up right as the boss is about to die. Now, depending on your raid's DPS, it could be better to do one or the other. It actually just depends on what your raid's damage is going to look like. If you're expecting to see a lot of people die on the kill and kind of limp to a finish like most guilds, right, then it's better to do it this way. If you're not expecting that, if you know that you're going to absolutely clobber the boss and everyone's going to be alive and, you know, basically you're expecting that everything's going to go right, then it would probably be better to hold your Dragon Rage. I am going to err on the side of caution, and instead of, you know, holding it for that last phase for the maximum boss damage with everyone alive scenario, right, I'm going to assume that there are mistakes happening, right? Because that's what I've seen before. Like that's every pull leading up to now, right? So I'm with that assumption, right? But obviously in farm, it might be a little bit different. So I just want to point that out. But I am going to hold Dragon Rage here, and I'm going to hold it for the ads. So I have Charge Blast, right, obviously, and Dragon Rage is up. The ads on this fight, the first set of ads are the only ads that you kill during this phase. All the rest of the ads, at least the smallies, the little Seeking Storms, all the rest of those just get CC'd the whole time. So it isn't too important. So I'm going to get in the position here, right, because the ads are about to all swap positions and summon the Seeking Stormlings. Here it is, Storm Break's happening. Make sure you don't slow the ads, by the way, if you can avoid it. So if you notice I'm like trying to target the big guy. And then right here, I'm going to use Deep Breath to stun these ads, and then I'm going to immediately pop Dragon Rage into Tip the Scales Fire Breath into Pyre. So here's my Deep Breath once they're all grouped, right? So Deep Breath is hitting everything. Watch me on the meters, by the way, while this happens. It's kind of crazy how much burst this is. So boom, hit with the Deep Breath into Dragon Rage, into the instant cast Fire Breath, and then we just shot up to, it's a lot of damage. The ads, I mean, listen, the ads are probably the most threatening thing in this phase. Obviously don't get killed by the boss trying to kill them. But like damage on like the big elementals is not as important as the damage on the small ads, at least the first set of small ads. The second set though, don't hit them. Don't hit them at all. Don't put Fire Breath on them. Do nothing to the ads. You don't want to be hitting these ads because you want them to stay rooted. It's very important that they stay in their little roots. Yeah, so don't be doing that. Yeah, and also try to avoid the circles. It can be kind of hard though. If you notice there, like I was basically surrounded in the front by these blue circles. I could have like moved back to the right, but I wasn't fast enough. But yeah, just try to avoid those. It can be a little hectic though. They just come out everywhere, but that's really the only damage that's happening anyways. Okay, so we have to wait here because we have to bait a breath, and the ad is going to teleport to this position up here. So like technically I could be up there ahead of time, but like it might bait a breath weird, so it's not worth it. I'm going to press Time Spiral here because I just have a free one before the next fight or the next phase. So I'm going to Time Spiral here and then hover in, and then we're going to finish this ad. And be aware, like, look, see these ads coming in? Be aware of the roots. Watch them like a hawk. Be ready to landslide if you need to. In this case, we've got a Ring of Frost down. We've got other people paying attention, right? This ad breaks free and it gets knocked back just like that in Frost Nova, right? So obviously, you know, other people are watching too. But just be aware, because if you landslide these ads whenever they're about to come in, you're just going to be a hero, right? You're going to save the pull. And I've done that many, many times. It didn't happen on the kill, but It's important to be aware of those. And yeah, so you just kill this ad, and you notice like all the ads die anyways, right? They just despawn. So the damage on the Seeking Stormlings, not too important on the set. Just the first set that matters. And then everyone's going to square up for phase 3. So we're all getting into position here on this triangle. Everyone's getting ready. The boss is going to push us back here in a moment. And the boss takes no damage here, so... Or like 99% reduced damage, so I'm not even hitting it. I could get my Fire Breath off cooldown by using Essence, but I'd rather just, you know, just chill for a sec. Okay, and then we're in position. All right, so use your glide right before you hit so that you don't take fall damage, or the boots, like we said before. And then you want to get in positions for phase 3. All right, so everyone pops Lust in phase 3 right at the start. You'll notice that Lust is going to basically fall off right as my Dragon Rage comes up. And that is not ideal, but the fact that I'm going to get the Dragon Rage at the very end that's going to line up with the boss dying is pretty nice, right? So like there's definitely a benefit to delaying your cooldowns as much as possible. We talk about this a lot, right? Like delay your cooldowns, try to have it line up so that your cooldowns are basically falling off as the boss dies. That's the ideal cooldown timing for Evoker because of your mastery, right? Obviously it's kill time dependent though. Okay, so anyways, yeah, just going through Lust here. Nothing really is going on here. Boss just kind of hangs out for a bit. This is where all the downtime is at the very start of phase 3. So I think in farm, you probably hold your cooldowns and just pop them here and just, you know, send it. But once again, in progression, it's a little bit of a different story. Okay, yeah, boss is just absolutely melting. Oh my god, the boss is already at 30%. This is crazy. We're just doing so much damage this pull. It's wild. Okay, anyways, so the first charge goes on, it's on Sethis. The first charge goes on purple here, and she's going to go ahead and move to purple so that we all get sucked over there. And you got to be aware of where the boss uses its beam. Everyone is standing together so that we bait the beam on top of us. It is possible that it could go on her instead of us. In that case, obviously, she would move a little closer to us at the last second, but it's going to be one or the other, right? Unless people are out of position. So here's the breath. It's on us, right? So obviously, everyone needs to move to the left just a little bit. And then we're all going to get hit by the suck right here. By the way, the damage on the suck happens when the suck initially happens. It's not whenever you actually land. So just for a heads up, if you're trying to mitigate this damage, make sure that you pop your mitigation beforehand. I'm holding on my mitigation because I want to have it for later in the fight in this phase. But yeah, just a heads up on how that works. Okay, anyway, so we all get gripped out of the beam, right? Dodge in the frontal, and then we're going to need to find our positions here right after this route. So I get the first route, I get a freedom, I get out of melee there, taking a bunch of damage, but it's okay. We're big chilling, and our strategy for the little tornadoes, the tornadoes to heal the boss, is you don't touch them. You don't touch them. It's a melee job. It's a tank job until it is called that it is no longer a tank and melee job, okay? And only the tanky melee do it, and they shouldn't be doing it ahead of time, because if you soak them, if you like run out of melee and go soak one ahead of time, right? Then you're taking extra damage because it's going to take on you a couple extra times, right? You want to let them get close to the boss first and then pick them up. That also gives the tank time to just pick them up behind you, right? So the ideal thing to do as a melee, I know this is an Evoker video, but I'm just letting you know, if you're soaking these, is to try not to go out and soak them. Just like stand under the boss, like where it would line up, and then let the melee and the tank like come and steal them from you, right? Just set yourself up as like a backup, like insurance kind of thing. Anyways, so yeah, we need to get ready and in position here because we're about to get our Thunderous Blast here. Boss is doing its frontal. And this is going to be a pull charge. This is in the middle of the room. And immediately following this is going to be another wing, another Tempest Swing. So we're all going to get sucked in right here. And then this is going to be my Bob rescue. I think, wait, is this 1 or 2? No, this is 1. This isn't my rescue. This is just jump through it. Yeah. The next one is my rescue. Anyways, so I'm in, I should rewind just a little bit. Yeah, so I popped Dragon Rage like right before this. Because I'm basically just pressing on cooldown, right? Just try to use it on cooldown in this phase. And it should line up so that it's coming up at the exact end of the fight here. So yeah, I press Dragon Rage here. Boom, into Fire Breath, into Tip the Scales, Eternity Surge. Just trying to carry this Dragon Rage as long as I can. Obviously don't stand in stuff, try to avoid stuff. Yeah, getting ready for the suck. Okay, the suck happens, you need to get out immediately. And if you notice, I hovered to get out, right? And now I need to get back in. Now this is the only one we will not have a time spiral on. I can't use my time spiral on this one because I used it in the intermission, but I couldn't use it anyways because I use it on a different one coming up, right? I use it on the next wings. So yeah, it's important that you're actually using your time spiral when people expect you to. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna have to just double jump through this one. So I will take more damage. You'll see it here. All right, so I double jumped through that, and I used it. I was able to actually use it there later. I probably shouldn't have used it there. I was just kind of like afraid that I wouldn't get out of it in time, so I used it there just in case. But since I'm in Dragon Rage, I'm like trying to line it up with my instant cast. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, carrying this Dragon Rage as long as I can. Use Fire Breath. Use Fire Breath. There it goes. And Eternity Surge here. Okay, and I know I'm not going to get another extension, so I'm just slow rolling it here. And the staff, if you notice, I am holding my staff for the last Dragon Rage, the very end of the fight, because I won't get another staff if I use it. Like, I'm not going to get 2 more staffs, right? Okay, and yeah, so we all get pulled over to purple here. This is the third one, right? So it goes to purple on the gateway. Everyone goes to the gateway. Now, if you don't get it here, you take the gateway. Or you run out. It's up to you. I decided to run out instead. I was expecting to not get this next one, and I was going to use the gateway on the next one. That was my plan, because I had like a surplus of hovers. But it just depends on the situation, yeah. It's really nice on this fight, because of all the time spirals, you end up having like a lot more hovers than you would normally have. Okay, so this is where personals are very important here. If you can see, like, I haven't used an an Obsidian Scales yet, until just now I used one. And it's because I'm trying to hold both for the very end of this fight. Could probably use one like at the very start of the fight, but I mean, I'm not sure how effective that would be. Just want to make sure that you have all your defensives up for like this last little bit here. So you'll notice Renewing Blazes coming off cooldown. I just use Obsidian Scales, and I'm going to use another one here shortly, I think. Okay, so yeah, this is a Time Spiral and a Rescue Bob right here. Oh no, this isn't my time spiral. This is, I think, yeah, my time spiral's on the next one. That's right. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. I think I used the wrong icon there. Okay, yeah. I was confused because the icon for me is a time spiral icon. It should be a rescue icon. I'm rescuing Bob. Robbie is rescuing Chiswick here. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, anyways, my time spiral is the next one. So yeah, once again, going out, right? Trying to get spread out. It should be me on top of Bob, and everyone else should be kind of spread up from us. But you'll notice here, my rescue doesn't work. And I want to point out what happened here. I'm not trying to flame anyone. I just want to point this out so that you know what happened. So I press my rescue Bob, right? I grab Bob, right? Got Bob in my hands. I got Absorb Shield from Twin Guardian. We're about to go in. And then look, I don't go anywhere. What happened? Well, if you'll notice, Bob got stolen. Lavoker, he stole Bob from me. Look at this. He stole him. So I have to tank the wave. It almost killed me. Good thing for Twin Guardians. Twin Guardians is OP, dude. Good thing for the Absorb Shield. But yeah, I had to hover at the last second there too. I was very confused by that because I was like, wait, did my rescue just bug? But no, it didn't bug. That was my rescue and Lavoker stole it. This means Bob isn't going to have a rescue on the third one. He's going to be in shambles once that happens. Okay, anyways. So yeah, the fight's just going on like normal. And this will be my time spiral coming up here. So this is like the set that's really tough, right? Because it's, you basically have the Tempest Wing into another Tempest Wing right away. Yeah. So yeah, I use my time spiral right here. Trying to get a little spread out as best I can. It's kind of hard though. We're a little bit stacked, right? There's not much room anyways. And then pushing through, and then poor Bob, he's just out there in the nether. You can see him on the mini map, dude. Look at him out there. Poor little Bob. He didn't have his rescue. Okay, and anyway, so yeah, this is like healing pots, cooldowns, everything. The boss is so low here though. I mean, this is crazy. We had never done this damage before. Like, we are just doing the craziest damage. And I pressed Deep Breath ahead of time because I wasn't sure if I was gonna get a clear. So as you notice, like in the windup, I'm just like standing still. This is the downside with Deep Breath, right? Using it to clear because you just get that. But the good news is even though I take the debuff again, I instantly broke my root, yeah? So I don't have a root here and I can just stand right out of range and then I'm back in. And I do have like a lot of damage happening to me, but that's okay because the boss is about to die. I'm just going to pop my Dragon Rage right here. Pop the Dragon Rage. Get the spells out and then end with the staff. And for style points, I raise my hands too. Just for style points, you know? We end up being one global short though, so I put my hands on the keyboard just in time to do a Disintegrate, and then the boss died. Right there. So yeah, that's the RazzyGCommentary kill in total. So let me know what you think. If you have any questions about this, be sure to ask those in the comments below. I'm going to try to include everything that I've mentioned. I think I talked about like a weak aura and a macro. Yeah, I talked about a macro too. I'll also post my rescue macro because I think it's pretty good. If you like are assigned to rescue one specific person, you can just put a separate keybind for it. But in total, this was the damage at the end of the fight right here. If you want to look at the damage meter, obviously using cooldowns a little bit better, not being assigned to kind of do half damage on the second Zealot would help a lot. But once again, it doesn't really matter, right? All that matters is just that you kill the boss. That is the most important thing. Doing the most effective damage you can, and sometimes that means using abilities not exactly on cooldown, right? This is true for every class, not just Evoker. So make sure that you're being a team player and you're doing your assignments. But yeah, overall, I'd say that this boss was actually pretty fun as Evoker. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. The biggest thing I'll say, if you're getting into this fight and you're new, so you're not familiar with this fight, make sure that you are using your defensives well. In phase 1 especially. Phase 1 is like the Evoker killer. It's not so much anymore now that they nerfed the damage, the fall off from like the fulminating-ish marks. I forget what they're called in P1, but basically the fulminating charges in P1. Make sure that you're using cooldowns for those. Make sure you're using cooldowns for the orbs. Make sure that the raid is using all their external stuff well, and just be aware of like what the assignments are for damage reduction. That way that you don't accidentally stack your cooldown with other cooldowns, right? Because if you're stacking yours with other ones, it's not going to be up for the ones that matter, right? And make sure you're using Zephyr too. Zephyr is a really, really important tool. I don't really use it at the end of the fight too much because it does lower damage. It's a global, but having 20% reduction in P1 is huge because it basically works on everything. Like that avoidance works on pretty much every ability in P1, including the dot for some reason. The electric scales or whatever it's called, the ticking damage over time that the boss does, it works on that. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Anyways, thank you all for watching once again. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.